What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing the art of objectivity. Now, this is one of the things that I'm discussing to help you build a stronger mind so that you can then ultimately transform your body, your life, your circumstances, and kind of just build the best version of you. Now, if you're new to my channel, you don't know this, but I'm a big believer in changing your mentality will quite literally change your life. And in terms of building your dream physique, yes, the protocols that you implement for training, nutrition, sleep, rest, recovery, and just overall optimizing your health are important. However, they're only about 50% of the battle. The other 50% of the battle is building up the mental strength and the willpower to be able to endure on the journey of the physical things that we just mentioned to be able to get the results that you're looking for. So, in hopes of being able to help you strengthen your mind, today I'm going to be discussing the art of practicing objectivity, or the art of objectivity, in order to help you not make decisions with emotions, but rather using logic so that you can get where you want to be without any of the distractions that we might experience when we think emotionally. So in order to set the groundwork, I'm going to be reading a few excerpts from the book The Obstacle is the Way. It is one of my current reads right now, and I find myself often rereading some chapters or certain parts of the book that just help me get through the current struggles that I'm facing in my own journey. So today I'm going to be reading a few things from the chapter called Practice Objectivity. It's very fitting for what we're going to discuss, and it's going to help lay some of the groundwork to help you understand what this mental framework looks like. So I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. The phrase, "this happened and it is bad," is actually two impressions. The first, "this happened," is objective. The second, "it is bad," is subjective. The 16th century samurai swordsman Miyamoto Musashi won countless fights against feared opponents, even multiple opponents in which he was swordless. In the Book of Five Rings, he notes the difference between observing and perceiving. "The perceiving eye is weak," he wrote. "The observing eye is strong." Musashi understood that the observing eye sees simply what is there. The perceiving eye sees more than what is there. The observing eye sees events, clear of distractions, exaggerations, and misperceptions. The perceiving eye sees insurmountable obstacles or major setbacks or even just issues. It brings its own issues to the fight. The former is helpful, the latter is not. In our own lives, how many problems seem to come from applying judgments to things we don't control, as though there were a way they were supposed to be? How often do we see what we think is there or should be there instead of what is actually there? Having studied ourselves and held back our emotions, we can see things as they really are. We can do that using our observing eye. Perceptions are the problem. They give us the information that we don't need, exactly at the moment when it would be far better to focus on what is immediately in front of us. The thrust of a sword, a crucial business negotiation, an opportunity, a flash of insight, or anything else for that matter. Everything about our animalistic brain tries to compress the space between impression and perception. Think, perceive, act within milliseconds between them. A deer's brain tells it to run because things are bad. It runs, sometimes right into traffic. We can question that impulse, we can disagree with it, we can override the switch, examine the threat before we act. But this takes strength. It's a muscle that must be developed, and muscles are developed by tension, by lifting and holding. Now, little pause for a second. I talk often about how you can quite literally strengthen your brain like a muscle. Now, I usually talk about this regarding the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, which is the AMCC. I've made videos on it before, which you can find on my channel, but there are other avenues of your brain when it comes to willpower, patience, persistence that can similarly be trained like that by putting yourself in tough situations. And this specific situation or scenario, pretty much they're discussing being patient when you initially experience something without reacting right off the bat, right? And that'll kind of help you make more methodical and logical decisions rather than just acting on impulse out of emotion. And in strengthening that specific part of your brain, you will get better at thinking clearer, which is why I'm kind of reading this to you guys. Anyway, let's continue on. This is why Musashi and most martial art practitioners focus on mental training as much as on physical training. Both are equally important and require equally vigorous exercise and practice. Now, if you have been subscribed to me or if you've seen my videos before, you know that I wholeheartedly believe this and stand 100% with what they're saying here, which is probably why I resonate with the book so well. When I was younger, my biggest struggle and shortcoming was always my mindset. I was very weak-minded, I was indisciplined, I was lazy, I was a multitude of different things that ultimately contributed to me being unhappy with my lifestyle. You know, like I say often, your life is a reflection of your mind and how mentally strong or weak you are. And I started tackling the exterior issues in my life and not really paying attention to the mental defaults, the weaknesses, the way that I perceive things, my, feelings, my emotions, the way that I thought. I didn't understand that the way that I was thinking was leading for me to have the reality and the life and the body in which I did. And so this is why I am so wholeheartedly standing behind the fact that this is 50% a psychological battle as much as it is the protocol of training, nutrition, sleep, rest, recovery, and the science behind actually getting your body to transform. So if you're in a rut or if you're struggling to get a physical transformation on your fitness journey or just in pursuit of some goal in your life, I encourage you to reflect inward and look at yourself and analyze yourself deeply, as I'm going to kind of walk you through in this video as well and help you be able to practice objectivity. But let's get right back to it. We're going to skip ahead a little bit to another paragraph in the same chapter just to help keep it condensed. So if you're reading along, it's not going to be right after what I just said, but put your book down. You should just be here for the ride. Just listen. Don't strain yourself trying to read along with me. Just turn those ears on. Marcus Aurelius had a version of this exercise where he described glamorous or expensive things without their euphemism. Roasted meat is a dead animal. Vintage wine is old fermented grapes. We can do this for anyone or to anything that stands in our way. That promotion that means so much, what is it really? Our critics and naysayers who make us feel small? Let's put them in their proper place. It's so much better to see things as they truly actually are, not as we've made them in our minds. Now, this is kind of where I want you to do that reflection I just mentioned. A lot of the times we are not thinking objectively. We are thinking in regards to our feelings and things that we wanted to happen versus what actually happened, and then that causes us to feel a certain way. And really right now I just want you to kind of analyze certain points in your life where this happened to you, where you should have practiced objectivity, but because you didn't, it affected how you did in a certain situation or how you handled the situation. And if you've never reflected or looked at this before, I encourage you to even grab out a pen and take some notes on it and try to figure out what caused you to make those decisions and what emotions you were feeling. Now you can pause, obviously, to do this. Is going to take some time because I'm about to start continuing to read. But, a part of being able to get yourself where you want to be is first understanding and knowing yourself. Objectivity means removing you, the subjective part, from the equation. Just think, what happens when we give others advice? Their problems are crystal clear to us, the solution's obvious. Something that's present when we deal with our own obstacles is always missing when we hear other people's problems. The baggage. With other people, we can be objective. Now, I even find myself doing this all the time because I'm a coach. As much as I have to coach other people through this, the first person that I had to coach in my entire life was me. I would not be able to coach other people if I could not coach myself, if I didn't understand how to fundamentally get a human being to change. And the hardest human being in your life that you can get to change is yourself. And to help you kind of practice this objectivity and ultimately being able to lead yourself, I want you to now go about your life imagining it as if you were in a video game. You are both the player in the game and also the person in front of the TV with the controller. The person on the couch isn't the one getting shot, isn't the one feeling the pain of the game. So the person on the couch continues to push the character on the screen, continues to push the player in the game. The person on the couch also has a better perspective in terms of being able to see things from a bird's eye view. It knows all the levels, it knows what to generally expect, it knows the rules, whereas the person in the game is kind of going in blind. You need to be able to understand that that is essentially how you're living life. Right? It is your responsibility to get yourself to win the game. However, you need to make decisions with the controller without taking into account what you're experiencing in terms of emotion or pain in the game. Just use the data from the game to help you make logical and reasonable decisions. Essentially, we need to work on removing our emotions, and the best way that I've found to help people understand how to remove their emotions is by imagining their lives as a video game. We take the situation at face value and immediately set about helping our friend to solve it. Selfishly and stupidly, we save the pity and the sense of persecution and the complaints for our own lives. Take your situation and pretend it is not happening to you. Pretend it is not important, that it doesn't matter. How much easier would it be for you to know what to do? How much more quickly and dispassionately could you size up the scenario and its options? You could write it off, greet it calmly. Think of all the ways that someone could solve a specific problem. No, really think. Give yourself clarity, not sympathy. There'll be plenty of time for that later. It's an exercise, which means it takes repetition. The more you try it, the better you get at it, the more skilled you become seeing things for what they are. The more perception will work for you rather than against you. Now, another thing that I say quite often is that your mind either works for or against you, so you better gain control of it. The best way you can gain control of it is, like I just mentioned, thinking of yourself as if you are playing a video game. That is the best exercise that you can implement in almost every situation to help you gain control and think of things objectively. Think of things with logic and reason and not with emotions, not with how you feel. Think of it I'll give you an example of when I was younger. I used to play softball when I was younger. And one thing that I really, really, really had to practice is being able to control my emotions after I fucked up, right? And I remember vividly there was a time where I essentially, we lost the game because of me, because I made a mistake on a grounder and I played shortstop, so I made a mistake on a grounder and the ball rolled in between my legs and into center field. and we ended up relinquishing the lead and losing the game, if I remember correctly. And even though I made that mistake, I still had to finish the game out. I still had to keep playing. What I'm getting at with that is after I made that error, I had to make sure that I kept my head up. I had to make sure that I maintained my positive morale, because when things go wrong and you let them ruminate and you let them build up and you start having this negative momentum, everything else will start to go wrong and you'll start to crumble. And I think that me growing up playing sports is a reason why I'm able to be so objective about things, because I had to be able to understand, hey, you made a mistake, it is what it is, but you need to get up. If you want to get up, if you want to win, if you want to be good, of course it relies on minimizing mistakes, but it also relies on how fast can you get the fuck up after you got knocked down, after you fucked up and made a mistake. And it takes mental strength to not sit there and dwell in it, to not sit there and, wallow in the pity that you have for yourself because you made that mistake, or to sit there and feel bad. And it took a lot of reflection for me to be able to take what I learned then and apply it to other things, and to be able to recognize that what I learned from doing something very specific can also be applied to other things, even if they aren't the exact same thing. They are parallel, and you can learn from all of those situations. And so in that moment when that ball went between my legs, we lost the game later on. We were never able to make up the lead. But I couldn't sit there and quit. I couldn't sit there and stop playing. I couldn't sit there and be like, the ball went through my legs and I suck and this sucks and this stinks and I'm never going to be able to be good and, whatever, I just let everybody down. Me sitting there and doing that isn't helping anyone. It's not good. It's not contributing to my success, and it's not making me any better. I needed to remove how I felt about myself, about the mistake that I made, about all the doubts that I may have had about myself, and just be like, this happened, it is what it is, what can I do to make sure it doesn't happen again, and how can I move forward? The best thing that you can do to stop making emotional decisions and always make decisions out of reason and logic, and ultimately take mental control of yourself to lead yourself where you want to go, is by practicing objectivity. In order to practice objectivity, I want you to go through life and imagine yourself as if you are playing a video game. To look at things and take them for what they are, at face value. Remove your emotions and remove how you feel, and place yourself on the couch holding the controller. Yes, you're at 5 health, your energy is at 0, and you can't do anything, but you're still going to hold down the button to make yourself sprint regardless. That is exactly what you need to apply to your life. Yes, you failed, it sucks, it stings, you made a mistake, and the team was counting on you, and you lost, and it was all your fault. It is what it is. Learn from it and move forward. Most people are always focusing on how to not make mistakes and being paralyzed by failure, when in reality, all they should focus on is getting up faster. You can't control some of the mistakes that you make, and honestly, a lot of the mistakes that you make are what teach you how to make the right decision. So don't worry about failing. Don't hyperfixate on always trying to make the right decision. Just focus on getting up faster every single time. That is everything that I have for this video, and how you can practice objectivity to always make decisions with mental clarity and use logic and reasoning to get where you want to be instead of worrying about your emotions. If you want me to coach you through this, I will leave the application in the description of this video, and I will reach out if there are spots available and if you're a good fit. If you have any questions or want to message me, I will leave my Instagram in the description, and I will get back to you with a voice message. Guys, it is November 3rd. There are less than 2 months left in this year. I encourage you now to start building momentum to take you into the new year. Don't be that person that waits for January 1st, because most people that are waiting for January 1st end up quitting by February 1st. So start building momentum now. I also encourage you to look back at the year and reflect on your success, the goals that you've reached, and also your shortcomings, so that you can start analyzing those things and go into this next year strong. And I'm going to close out with what I used to say at the end of last year. You can't save time, you can only spend it, so quit freaking wasting it. Guys, we got 2 months left in the year. Start right now. There's no perfect time. The perfect time was yesterday. Get after it. And of course, don't forget that I love you guys. I'm rooting for y'all, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.